I wanted to cover something today that you never hear about. Did you guys know that we've been at war with Afghanistan since 2001? Did you guys know that we've spent over $6 trillion between Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan? Marshall, Jordan, you should talk to Bernie and convince him that he could win. I don't think he agrees with you. Hey, Marshall, excuse me for a second. Well, I have Bernie on speed dial, so I could call him. Hey, Bernie, you should really run third party. You should really run third party. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later. Do you think I have Bernie on speed dial? But yes, I'll talk to him if I ever get the chance. Ugh. So we have been at war with Afghanistan since 2001. It's never talked about. People go to dinner, people go to concerts, people go to sporting events. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm too woke for him? Maybe. I literally was browsing around before I came live, and I found this, and I was like stunned. I was stunned. This is from the Weekly Standard, which is Bill Kristol, who never saw a war he didn't love. Bill Kristol's site. The Afghanistan war is over. We lost. Like, not making that up. The Afghanistan war is over. We lost. This is from Bill Kristol and the Weekly Standard. There is no single official for the overall number of civilians killed by the war since 2001, but estimates for specific years or periods have been published by a number of independent organizations and are presented here. As of July 2018, there have been 2,372 U.S. military deaths in the war in Afghanistan. 1,856 of these deaths have been the result of hostile action. 20,320 American service members have also been wounded in action during the war. In addition, there were 1,720 U.S. civilian contractor fatalities. And this is not even to mention Pakistan. Here we go. Afghanistan and Pakistan have engaged in their current wars for nearly 15 years, and the cost in human lives and health has been enormous. The combined death toll is 173,000 dead and more than 183,000 seriously wounded. The wars in Afghanistan and Pakistan remain interrelated, not least because the border is porous between the two countries, but also because the United States has put resources into the fighting on both sides of that border. On July 6, 2016, President Obama announced the planned reduction of U.S. troops in Afghanistan would be delayed, of course. He said, "I strongly believe that it is in our national security interest, especially after all the blood and treasure we've invested in Afghanistan over the years, that we give our Afghan partners the very best opportunity to succeed. The war has cost the United States more than $800 billion in direct appropriations to the State Department and Department of Defense. As the Cost of War Project has documented, there are many other economic costs in the U.S., Afghan, and Pakistan." First of all, he's kind of selling it short there. The Afghanistan war has actually cost $1.7 trillion. The Bush administration launched it in response to 9/11 and going after Al-Qaeda. The war's $1.07 trillion has three main components. First is $773 billion in overseas contingency operations, funds specifically dedicated to the Afghanistan war. Second is the increase of $243 billion to the base budget of the Department of Defense, that bloated fish. The third increase is $54.2 billion to the Department of Veteran Affairs budget. So here you have a quiet, invisible war. And not only have over 2,000 American soldiers been killed, but Afghans, I mean, it's insane the amount of Afghans that have been killed. I believe over 100,000 killed or wounded. And look at the spending on this war. Look at this. It has only gone up. Look at fiscal year 10, fiscal year 11. It's only slightly going down last year. That is, we're getting into Vietnam territory. It is insane. Completely insane. Yet, nobody talks about it. But you know, kind of, I'm sure their reasoning is batshit, but when you lose the weekly standard in perpetual war, it's time to get the hell out of there. It's time to get the hell out of there. Let me read this. The Taliban, which knows the U.S. is desperate to leave, just attacked a meeting between Afghan officials and the top U.S. military commander. America has lost the war in Afghanistan. Washington may not want to admit it, and the U.S. military insists the conflict is a stalemate. But make no mistake, the original 9/11 war has been lost. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't read the Weekly Standard often, but this is remarkable. On Thursday, the Taliban attacked a meeting. This is last week. On Thursday, a Taliban attacked a meeting between Afghan officials and the top U.S. military commander in Afghanistan, General Austin Miller. Americans in attendance were wounded, but Miller was unhurt. At least 3 Afghan officials, though, were killed, including General Abdul Razik. I'm gonna jump around. It has been left to America's diplomats to negotiate a face-saving deal, one in which the United States can leave without the appearance of losing. But there are many reasons to think the diplomatic gambit is misguided. Earlier this month, an American delegation led by Zalmay Khalilzad, who was recently appointed to U.S. Special Representative for Afghanistan Reconciliation, met with Taliban representatives in Doha, Qatar. This was not a sit-down between two sides equally committed to winning the war. The Taliban, which consists or controls more than half of Afghanistan, knows the United States is desperate to leave and not even trying to win. When President Trump announced his strategy for the war in 2017, he emphasized that the U.S. approach would be based on conditions on the ground, not arbitrary timetables. Well, here's the conditions on the ground, okay? Bin Laden has been dead for 8 years. Okay? The original reason for going was Al-Qaeda. I have a secret to tell you. Al-Qaeda spread all over the damn globe, not just Afghanistan. There is no reason to be there. And there is no reason to save face because the majority of Americans want us out of these wars. So, really, is it really about saving face, or is it really about saving our investments? Because we know that America has been taking Afghanistan's resources since the beginning of this whole thing. Most of our wars are over oil or opioids or many different things. Minyang, thank you, $5 in the super chat. Wish could give you more. Please keep doing the good work. I am. And I hope you join us on Sunday, noon Eastern, for the launch of statuscoup.com. Thank you for the $5 in the super chat. We got to keep this going. So, between Obama, who ran on ending Afghanistan and Iraq. By the way, we ended Iraq, but we still have special advisors in Iraq. And it added to our already insane levels of bases all over the world. I think we have like 160 bases all over the world. We still have bases in Germany. Last time I checked, World War II ended like a long time ago. But the reason I'm bringing this up isn't only because it's insane to keep U.S. military in Afghanistan for an imaginary war that has no real enemy anymore. And we're really just there. A mix of we want to keep the money flowing from Afghanistan because we have taken a lot of their natural resources, and because we're addicted to war. And because Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman continues to fund Trump, the Republicans, and the Democrats. So we got to keep them in business, and they need a war. It's truly unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. And I didn't read the Weekly Standard because I agree with the Weekly Standard. I agree that we've lost in Afghanistan just for different reasons. But my point is, when you have a place like the Weekly Standard, which is not as much a media outlet as it is a neocon outlet, when you have them basically saying, we've lost, get out, it's time to listen. It's time to listen. Because you want to know something? Not only has the income inequality in this country skyrocketed, because we've basically rigged the system for the 1%, for big oil, big bankers, big pharma, Silicon Valley, real estate, financial lawyers, I could go on. It's also exploded because the investment money that could have been invested into your communities and should have been invested into your communities by Bill Clinton and W. Bush and Obama and this idiot, Trump, have been invested on F pilot fights, these insane jets and bombs and military and endless war into the trillions. You could fix a lot of roads with that money. You could pay for a lot of health care with that money. You could pay for a lot of education with that money. You could pay for a lot of heating for the poor and in need this winter. You could pay for a lot of job training programs. You could pay for a lot of government programs. You could pay for a lot of programs in inner cities and for minorities, which Obama did none of, by the way. First black president, most black people I talk to don't think he did much other than breaking that glass ceiling for African Americans. So this isn't just about it's not just about the outrage of being in a war. 2021 coming up relatively soon. That's 3 years from now. Is 20 years. 20 years. Do you know who we're fighting in Afghanistan? Do any of you know? I don't know. I'd love to know. Who are we fighting? Jen, do you know who we're fighting? I mean, hell, Jen's not going to like this, but maybe if we make enough money in the company, that GoFundMe is at 13,007 ton, maybe we go to Afghanistan and I can find out. Who the hell are we fighting? Shall we? That was just an excuse to show you the GoFundMe, which hasn't moved yet. So, feel free to contribute. I mean, I think it's astounding. That our leaders, and by the way, yeah, of course Trump isn't changing anything. Why isn't the Democratic Party talking about this? Why isn't the Democratic Party's, one of its midterm things is, let's get the hell out of Afghanistan, let's actually get out of Iraq completely. Let's stop arming Saudi Arabia to commit genocide in Yemen. And let's use all that money to build up, not our military, but our schools. And rebuild our bridges. And provide health care, which, by the way, will help stimulate the economy. But we don't do any of that because we don't live in a democratic system. We don't live in a republic. We live in an oligarchy. And war is good for the rich. War is good for the politicians. I don't remember who. It was a famous general, I think in the 1940s, that said, it's all a racket. War is a racket. Gizzo says, I'm sounding like a true Ron Paul. Well, thank you. I like Ron Paul on war, not so much on the economy and, the gold standard. Porkchop says, oh, Jordan, you're cute. I don't know if you're condescending. To be Porkchop, but I'll take it. Endo says, universal health care will save money, but Big Pharma ain't interested in saving money. Yeah, of course. They're interested in saving money for themselves. And Jen, my business partner, texted me, I cannot believe you are falling for the Weekly Standard BS. I'm not falling for the Weekly Standard. I'm just saying when you've lost, when the military industrial complex has lost the weekly standard. I mean, Bill Kristol, literally before he goes to bed, plots out the next war. Okay?